Hearties, welcome to Heart to Heart. We are just fresh off of the season finale. My name is Dawn Bateman from Texas.
Hi Hearties, Jeanette Stevens from Michigan.
Hi guys, Chelsea from Puerto Rico.
We are just teary-eyed and still dealing with the finale, which was one of my favorite finales for all 9 seasons. We're so glad that we can recap this episode with Erin Krakow. Welcome.
Hi. I'm so happy we can chat about it together.
You're back.
Thank you for that. So epic. In my mind, epic. Ooh. So when you saw the script for the first time, what did you think the first time you saw it for the finale?
Well, I'm always so excited to read the scripts. It's probably akin to how you guys feel before watching each episode. There's a lot of excitement about what's coming next. And I just pour over it. And I always look forward to seeing what kind of surprises await me. And with this one, there was the added pressure of, okay, there's a lot to wrap up in this one script. Mm-hmm. A lot of stories that we have to kind of finish telling.
We thought it would be 3 hours.
Yeah, right?
That's a lot. Yeah.
It could be. I mean, maybe we should discuss an extended season finale in the future.
That would be amazing.
That would be amazing. We'll talk about it. Anyway, yeah, I remember being really excited as I read it. A lot of beautiful moments, some heartbreaking moments, some really joyful moments. And it's kind of neat to see people reading them around set because, we'll be at work and we'll see it, they'll come in and you just kind of steal a moment here or there to read as much as you can. So I've typically at this point read a draft before the rest of the cast, but watching them, like I think I'm thinking of Johanna reading through the script in, I don't remember if it was this season or last, but what's that?
I remember her tweeting about it.
Did she?
About that, yeah. That
she was
like,
in the
she's like, really?
Uh-huh. Yes, she was in the parlor of the cafe, I think, and I knew that she was pouring through it, and it's just neat to see people experience it for the first time.
Yeah.
Do you skip to the end when you get it, or do you actually
No.
Just curious.
No, but I'm also not the type. Like I don't want to know what happens. I want to experience it. I don't even tell my mom or dad. Yeah. Like my mom is always trying to get things out of me, like what's going to happen with such and such. And I'm like, no special treatment here, Mom. I should probably share a thing or two with her, but I just want her to get to experience it.
Sure.
Yeah.
A lot of tender moments, pivotal moments. You had interaction with Elizabeth, with Henry, Bill, Rosemary and Lee and little Jack and Lucas. I mean, what was your personal favorite for this?
Come on.
Sorry. All of it.
Yeah, all of it. I mean, look, there was a certain scene that takes place at the end of the episode, at the very end of the season, which I think was particularly special for my character. But I'm thrilled to get to work with all of my castmates. They're all so talented. It is an honor to get to work with these people every day. So I don't have favorites. I just
yeah. So even when we were talking about it today, we were saying, oh, what about this? What about that? I mean, talking about Henry. Well, we'll talk about some of these moments going forward, but there was so much. It's like, no, it's not about the Canfields. And then you have, Henry and your particular situation for the last scene, which was
Oh.
But yeah, there's just a lot. There's a lot. I cannot. That's the reason why I was like this. I think it's the greatest. Almost. I don't know if it's the greatest. I'll have to reevaluate it. But right now, I think that this is my favorite finale.
Right.
So
well, it would be a shame if you saw this season's finale and you were like longing for a season finale of a season past. We like to keep upping our game, so I'm happy to hear that.
That's probably a good thing.
Always a good thing. Well, talking about the epic performances, for me, what stood out big time is Henry Gowan, this culmination of this 9-season story arc, and Martin's amazing portrayal of it. Just watching, I'm blown away. And for you as an actor, you've now worked with him all of these seasons. What was that like for you to film these really, like, this pivotal moment in his life, and with such a talented actor?
Well, that's the thing, right? You could give Martin Cummins a dictionary and he would make it interesting.
Yeah.
Actually, I would pay to watch that. I should suggest that another time. He's pretty amazing. Like he is an incredible human being, and he's so grounded and honest, and he brings, I think, that to his acting. And he blew me away. It's also not every day that you get to play a character who's been struggling with the guilt and the consequences of something like the story about the mine for 9 years, and to get to see that pay off, like the stakes are very high, and he delivered.
Oh my
big time.
word.
Oh yeah.
And it wasn't just Elizabeth's interaction. It was so neat to see, Florence come to him.
Yes.
And then the scene with Joseph. That was the one that broke me. I don't know about the rest of the Hardies, but
I know.
when he asked for Joseph to come. And
Yeah.
for you, you weren't part of those scenes, but then to watch it on screen was probably pretty powerful for you, as it was for us, I would assume.
It was very powerful. Yeah. I thought that they told that story very well, both in the writing and in Martin's performance. It was great.
Yeah. Well, he was talking about lifting, like he had the weight off of his shoulders kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
And his facial muscles were just, that is, you don't see that a lot. You just seeing the face, knowing that, I was like, it was so extraordinary.
Yeah,
it was so good.
When Florence whispers in his ear, and immediately when she steps back, there's a change in his face. His face said it all. Just amazing performance. It was.
Yeah, we could definitely go on and on with him.
Oh yeah.
I'm gonna have to send him at least a portion of this so he can hear you guys talking about how wonderful he is, because he'd probably say thanks and get all bashful and then try to hide somewhere. But he should know, I think, just how powerful that performance was.
Yeah, there's every time. Well, as you have DVRs and things like that, I've seen it 2 or 3 times now, and I was just like, every time, even though I'm anticipating his performance, it still rocks me. Especially when he's on his knees, and with Joseph, I'm just like, I lose it all the time.
Yeah,
so good.
Well, we'll pivot for a minute to Elizabeth and Rosemary's relationship, and of course, it was fun not just in the finale, but over the course of the season. It was fun to watch Elizabeth and Rosie try to work out this new dynamic between balancing friendship and then her editor-in-chief role. What was I going to ask about that? Here we go. Yeah. So when you first saw those scripts, where I think I tweeted that I was a little concerned that Elizabeth and Rosie were headed down the path.
It was a trigger.
Yeah, the troubles that they had in season 8. So did you guys kind
Mhm.
of read those and wonder if that's where it was going, or how did you feel about them when you first saw that?
Oh man, I was like, these poor Hardys are gonna lose it. They just got over the conflict between Rosemary and Elizabeth. How are we gonna handle this? But I mean, look, it was actually resolved very quickly. So I mean, you guys are okay, right? You made it
Oh,
through.
yeah.
Yeah.
Well, it was cool to see how in the or a couple episodes ago where you know, you guys struggled with arguing about if the mine information should be released.
Yes.
And then cut to the finale. I loved the moment when Elizabeth walks in and says, you know, and they just you don't go with Henry's story, and just implicit trust that they pivoted to just trusting Elizabeth and going, oh, all right, we're, you know, I loved that. Such a cool moment.
Just crumbles the paper.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it's complicated dynamic, I'm sure, because I guess, you know, news is news, but I it was nice that she was being respectful of her friend. Yeah.
So I have a question from Cindy Gervais from Freeport, Maine. She loved seeing your bond with Rosemary over this blessing of a pregnancy, and it was lovely that it was introduced early enough that we could witness, you know, that sweet moment between these friends. So were you involved with the discussion of how to handle the pregnancy in that story?
When it would be revealed to Elizabeth in that way?
Yeah.
Oh, I'm trying to remember. I don't think so. Or perhaps peripherally, but I don't think I said, oh, I'd really have to look back at this, Chelsea. I don't remember exactly, but what I will say is I was really happy with the way that scene played out. That, for some reason, that scene really has an effect on me. I think there are some scenes that I watch back from over the years, and they make me a little emotional. And I think that that's one of them, is seeing the sort of unspoken moment between Elizabeth and Rosemary when she just puts the pieces together.
Oh my gosh, yes.
And I don't know about you guys, but I have experienced that with a couple friends, I think, where we're maybe talking about something else, and then I'm just like, oh, you are with child, aren't you? It's like, it's kind of
no
amazing.
Wine for me.
What's that?
No wine for me.
Right. Yeah. Well, I mean, it's a bit of a giveaway, but yeah. I thought that scene came together really nicely. And Pascal and I often have a hard time getting through scenes without laughter. That's on me. I break first, but we were able to really get through that scene just fine, I think, because we felt how special and important it was.
Sure.
Yeah.
And
you can like feel the vulnerability and the authenticity of the moment. So
thank you.
And also, speaking of a really amazing scene as well, is the scene with Bill in this episode, and like him entrusting Elizabeth, you know, with his will. And in that moment, you could also like see both of these characters had experienced the loss of Jack together, and you know, there's the fragility of life, and but little Jack was there, and that brought the sense of like, okay, life moving on in such a very sweet way. Can you tell us a bit more about filming that scene with Jack and Highland?
Yes, it was a surprise, I think, for both Jack Wagner and myself, because it on the page, it's written beautifully, don't get me wrong, but on the page it reads pretty simple. We're just kind of sitting at this table together, and you know, he's passing me the documents, but Jack just started into it, and I was very affected by his performance. I thought, played it very simply, with a lot of restraint, but there was clearly so much emotion behind what he was saying. And, you know, you don't see Elizabeth and Bill in a ton of scenes together. There's not often like a lot of crossover for their storylines, but some of the scenes they've had, whew, the one where he gives Elizabeth that compass, the one where Elizabeth asks Bill to be godfather,
yes,
and little Jack just sticks his little hand up on.
So cute, so cute.
But there's something really powerful about the scenes that they have when they have them together. This was no exception.
Yeah, I think Jack Wagner even, wasn't that the scene you referred, like you guys did a pre-season Facebook Live with all of you, and he mentioned a scene that was coming up. So I'm assuming that's why that kind of took you both by surprise.
That's the one. Yeah, we were both surprised by it. I think we may have shot my coverage first, I think. And then we broke while they were turning around to get his coverage. And Jack and I were both kind of like, well, that something was happening in that scene. That there's something going on here. We got something. Yeah, it was surprised us both. It was great.
It's really neat to hear those kind of stories, because I just don't think we have any idea that, you know, we just think, oh, that's how you rehearsed it. And then, you know, and so the fact that it can actually surprise you guys is just, that's really cool to think about. Well, before we dive into the proposal, which we know Hardy's are dying to get to, I did want to talk about, we had a lot of, you know, Elizabeth and Lucas and Nathan moments this episode. And there was great meaningful moments and comedic moments. And honestly, for me, it felt kind of like a sigh of relief, like, oh, look how far they've come, all three of them. And it was, the banter was just great. And so how are you feeling? How are maybe the three of you feeling? I don't know if you can say much about the guys, but of where these friendships kind of landed at the end of season 9.
Well, I don't like to speak for others, but in this case, I think I can, because we've all kind of talked about it. And I think that we all really like it. It is not a perfect friendship. I mean, Nathan is going to keep poking fun at Elizabeth and asking Lucas for more ice cream, and you know, he's probably going to get away with it. And you know, it's still a bit of a weird dynamic, but they all care about each other so much that it's a unique friendship now. So I mean, I think we three really appreciate it.
Yeah,
written beautifully.
It was good. I love the guys camping out and having those conversations. I love that. So in the after the fire, and Lucas and Elizabeth are talking, and Elizabeth has a monologue, and it's kind of a cap for what she is seeing about him. And so there's a quote, you'll probably better than I am, but I have to read it. So it says, to me—
Go for it. Can you do an impression, please?
No.
Right.
To me, you aren't what you do, nor are you the sum of your possessions. Even if you had come back and all of this had been gone, burned in the fire, there would still be love. Was that what was that, what it meant to you, or as for Elizabeth? It was just like a pinnacle of what they were dealing with. You know, it's all about love, not possessions, not what you are, what your title is. So that was so good.
Those lines, as I recall, and perhaps most specifically the last phrase in that speech, I think, was special to Peter DeLuise. And I don't know how much of that he'd want to share, but I'll just say that I know that it had held a particular meaning to Peter. And so with that, I think always comes responsibility. And so I hope that I did it justice for the meaning that it held for Peter. but also for our characters, obviously. And I think you're right. It was it was a way of sharing with Lucas that Elizabeth's love for him was unconditional. And, perhaps a reminder here, she'd been kind of sharing with him all season that it doesn't have to be big moments. It can be about the little moments together. And here she was also saying, you don't have to have a fancy saloon. You don't have to have, a fancy anything, as long as there's love.
Yeah, I love that. I enjoyed that whole, the whole arc in season 9 about all his grandiose
gestures.
Yeah, there you go. That's it.
Yeah.
Yeah, those are the things. And yet as we went and evolved into, 12 episodes, and then especially, I really love the I love yous. That was really special because it's so understated, and they needed it at that moment of time. And it was just it was delivered really well. It was written really well. And I was just, and even the music, when you see it, and because I have that conversation with John Serrata, I see the winks of the, all the things that he does. And it's really not, it's almost like unconscious. And yet when you listen to it, it's just, like Gustav, you had the conversation with Gustav in the season finale. And I was like, I love him. And then all of a sudden I see the accordion in the music. It was so good. So good.
Yeah. Can I take a time out? Can we talk about Gustav for a minute? Because he was such a sneaky surprise this season. He won over the Hardys.
Oh, love him.
How did you guys discover? It's Carl Mercer, right? We need to give him a shout out. Yeah. What a great, and it was so great to see his relationship with Lucas.
I know, who knew they were related?
I know. Yeah. And so much fun, feistiness, but then he would always support him and support Elizabeth. And
I will say, Gustav made his way into Elizabeth's row house a lot faster than Lucas ever did.
Isn't that the truth?
He's got something. Yeah, right? I mean, how long was she chatting up Lucas before she invited him in? Gustav was like, I have a concern. And Elizabeth's like, come on in, buddy, let's talk.
He's okay.
And what a great add to the cast. I mean, we don't know much about him. Do you does he?
He's fantastic. Yeah, he's a great guy. And the accent is not real. So he does a really fun job with that too. But he's really, he's been a fun character who has evolved. And that dynamic, that relationship was really fun to see explored this season.
Yeah. I digress. Hardys are like, get back to the proposal.
But I love him. I really, I just love him. So the proposal, not a candle in sight. Yost have all their stock ready to go.
Yeah.
So, and it was, the autumn leaves. What's the word from Rosemary?
Splendacious, kaleidoscopic.
That's I can't do that right now, but it was like, but this is my time. I love fall. Those are the moments that I love. It's like, it was perfect. So, and then Lucas swinging Elizabeth, and and with little Jack, who just, how did you get his reaction when he was so excited about, the idea of Lucas having a father figure for him. So I love that line too. Chris was doing the Lucas. What was the line?
Wants to be a father to your son. That's it.
And his voice just, it quivered enough that that was so good, so good. So what?
You can't teach that, Dawn. You can't teach the quiver. You either have it or you don't.
Yeah. He's so good. So good. But what was filming like for that whole scene, and knowing that you have, Hyland and little Jack, and what was that?
And Hardy's expectations.
Yeah.
I know. Well, we all felt just how important it was, how special that scene was. And so everyone was just on their A game, you know, they made sure that that path looked beautiful with the leaves. And I also appreciate that it was written in a way that was quite different from the Jack and Elizabeth proposal. And the weather held up, you know, we weren't battling rainstorms or windstorms. And Hyland did a good job, that little fella. He obviously made the scene so much sweeter, but it's not an easy task to throw a toddler on this set in front of all these people and say, we need you to pick up this rock at this exact moment and carry it back to them, and then run off, pick up another rock, then come back. Like, there's rocks everywhere. He's got puddles and leaves and grass and other distractions. So we were really quite proud of him. I mean, the scene took a while, but he did a really good job, and his reactions are just gold, you know.
Yeah, I love it. It's just like when he's like, that reaction of like, I don't know what Peter, who was the director? Peter, okay. That was, I know that he does a lot with Hyland. We have that connection. We see it. And I don't know what he told Hyland at that point, but perfect reaction.
I can't remember. I don't know. It could have been a fart joke. It could have been the offer of a toy car. I don't know. But I'm glad that I'm glad that it was a fun reaction. Yeah, he's so sweet.
Well, and so special that it included the whole family. So it's so sweet. Yeah.
Loved it so much.
Well, we could probably talk about the proposal all night, and and I'm sure Hardee's will keep talking about it after the season ends, as well as the rest of the finale. But before we wrap up, Erin, we just want to give you the floor. Is there anything you want to say to the Hardees for, you know, now that we've wrapped up a season 9, another season in the book? Season 9, even to say that out loud,
9
still is
seasons.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah. So
I'm with you.
Yeah.
I mean, there's so many things I want to say, but it all stems from gratitude, and I so appreciate how supportive the Hardees have been over the years, and the way they showed up for season 9, and their passion for the show, their loyalty, their engagement on the heels of a proposal. I really appreciate the Hardees so much. You guys and all of the rest of the Hardees, you mean the world to me, and really to all of us. I've said it before and I'll say again, like, we don't get to do this thing that we love without your support. So the show exists because of you guys. So thank you so much.
Wonderful. And now we can all get some rest, right? So make sure you get some rest, and we hope you enjoy, hearing Hardee's reactions and enjoying the accolades of the season. And I'm sure we'll keep chatting about it. And we certainly, want to be in front of our TVs in 2023 to watch more. And thank you so much for taking time with us. We really appreciate it. And for coming back to chat.
My pleasure. This was so much fun.
So great.
Thanks, you guys.
So thanks for being here.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Erin.
Hardees. We're so grateful for your support. And like Erin said, you guys showed up this season, and we're so grateful. And enjoy the off season. Bye, Hardees.
Bye.